Morning and welcome into the Farzy Show. I'm Marc Farzetta here at the Steven Singer Studios. As per usual, so much to get to today. But on a day like today, there's some good, but there's even more bad. A lot of bad. A heck of a lot of bad, actually. Just almost too much bad for me to even do a show who considers myself to be a very happy-go-lucky guy. So much stuff with the Phillies losing a twin bill yesterday. I still can't get over it because there were plays that happened in yesterday's game that were face-palm moments. Face-palming moments. Let's start off with the first one. The first one was Roman Quinn oversliding third base. And I don't even know if it's the proper terminology for what happened in game one when the Phillies had 2 outs in the inning and 2 men on. They're threatening, right? And Roman Quinn takes off for third base. Now, let's just pause it right there for just 1 second. In the immortal words of Gary Dornhofer, stop it right there. So Roman Quinn's on second base, and he has an opportunity to take third. Most people have a problem with him even trying to steal third base in this situation, which happened in game one. And he takes off. He's got blazing speed. With a guy like that, I don't have a lot of problems with when he decides to steal. So they decide to steal. He decides to steal. He steals third base. He had it in hand. He thought the ball was overthrown and went down the third base line into the outfield. So he got up quickly and thought he was going to run home and score. Nope, the ball's in the third baseman's hands. He gets tagged out, and that's that. Originally, I thought maybe he got pushed off the bag. Maybe the ump would call that. No, basically, in basketball terms, incidental contact is what happened there. No charge, no block, no nothing. Roman Quinn just made a bad play at third base. When he had it in hand, he overslid and then made a bad decision. I mean, really, it just came down to not even oversliding. It just came down to the bad decision. I didn't have a problem with him taking off there. Normally, do I want a baseball player to do that? Of course not. 99 times out of 100, I don't want that. But if you have a guy with Roman Quinn's speed, which is his one redeeming attribute, then yeah, I would rather him take off. I don't have a problem, rather, with him taking off in that situation. Ends up hurting the Phillies. They get out of the inning. The Mets get out of the inning, unfortunately, unscathed, thanks to Roman Quinn. And that's just a bonehead play. Oh, am I talking about a center fielder? Because there's another center fielder play last night. That was Roman Quinn, star of the show in the first game. Second game, Adam Hazley comes into play here. This is just gotten out of hand. Adam Hazley, over the last week, has botched 2 plays in center field, and last night was a perfect example. And what I like to do is, after I watch these games, a lot of times right before I come on to do the show with you guys, I'll go and I'll watch the extended highlights on YouTube, so it's fresh in my mind. And also, it gets my juices going again to put me more so in the state of mind of how I was while I was actually watching the game, as if I was going to come on with you right after the play. So it's still fresh, right? So I watched the play with Adam Hazley in center field yesterday during Aaron Nola's start. And Adam Hazley has this ball hit right at him in center field. Any center fielder worth anything at any level, if you're a center fielder, it's an instinctual play. Adam Hazley lets the ball drop a couple of feet in front of him as opposed to charging in, getting a good read off the bat, and making a play. And instead of there being 2 outs in the inning at this point, and the Mets only having a runner on, I believe it would have been second base at the time, or first base at the time, he charges in, stops, and fields the ball off a hop. The reason I tell you I go back to watch the YouTube highlights before that, now not just to freshen my juices, right, but it's also because the opposing announcers sometimes make that highlight reel. And I'm always curious to see how they called it. Now, I noticed that the Sportsnet New York guys, first off, they called the Roman Quinn thing perfectly almost immediately, saying that Roman Quinn just thought the ball went up the line. And then the Adam Hazley call in game number 2, they were right on it immediately, as were Tom McCarthy and Ben Davis yesterday. You know, when the home announcers are saying the same thing as the away announcers, it's bad. And the home announcers yesterday, Tom McCarthy, as well as Ben Davis, said, I don't know why Adam Hazley didn't catch that ball. The Mets reaction, the Mets broadcasters' reaction was, and Adam Hazley continues to be a problem in center field. The Phillies don't have a center fielder. And that's a pretty important position. Now, as I know, because I tweeted this out yesterday, Odubel Herrera, he sucks too. All right. I know a lot of people are talking about the off the field stuff. I'm not even talking about the off the field stuff. Odubel Herrera lost me well before that, just from a baseball perspective. I don't expect him to ever regain any type of all-star form. I feel like if I'm waiting for him to do that, simply because, and I'll say this, simply because I watched him have the lowest baseball IQ of basically anyone I've ever seen. I said last night, and I've said this on the show before, he's got the lowest baseball IQ I've seen since Ben Revere, if you remember when he was playing for the Phillies. But Ben Revere can at least hit you 300. So you're watching, this game play out last night. You're thinking, all right, who else did they have? Who else did they have in the minor leagues that could come up and help them? First off, I'm not just going to abandon ship on Adam Hazley just yet. Young guy, 25 years old, high draft pick. I said coming out of spring training, I'd rather the Phillies invest in some youth rather than just go right back to Odubel Herrera. Odubel Herrera lost me well before anything happened off the field. The last 2 seasons of Odubel Herrera, I've watched him at the plate struggle with the strike zone. I've watched him in center field struggle with tracking a fly ball as well. Now Odubel Herrera, because everyone else has been so bad, has become a knight in shining armor for a lot of people. I ain't there yet. You're talking about a 220 batting average last year. You're talking about a guy who just looked confused and dumbfounded when trying to play the baseball over the last 2 seasons he was with the Phillies. I'm going to continue to see what we have in Adam Hazley. Roman Quinn has not really shown me anything other than he's healthy still, which is saying something about a guy like Roman Quinn who has so much injury history. But he's not going to hit with pop. He's not going to hit for extra bases. He's just got speed. And speed's great, but not as a starting center fielder. So who else do they have? Mickey Moniak? And I know a lot of people still roll their eyes at Mickey Moniak. Mickey Moniak started to put some things together over the last couple of years, which is good to see. A former number one overall pick. I'd love to see the Phillies give him an opportunity. And I just thought it was very telling after last night's game when Joe Girardi was asked about the center field position. He basically just said, yeah, these are the guys we have. What do you want from me? That was pretty much his answer after last night's game. If we thought the guys in the minor league system were ready to come up, they'd be up. But right now, they feel like Adam Hazley and Roman Quinn are their best options. I wouldn't be shocked if they decide to go back to Odubel Herrera at some point, and maybe he'll be able to catch a hot streak again for a week. That's one thing I will say about Odubel Herrera is that you can have at least some faith that he'll put it together for a week and go, oh, my God, this guy's amazing. That's right. That's the all-star form we were all talking about. And then it just goes away. I don't know where it goes when it goes away with Odubel Herrera, but I remember the first, 3 seasons he had at the major league level, and you're thinking, oh, my God, these guys got a steal. This is great. An all-star hit with some pop in the outfield. Definitely love this guy. And then the last couple of years, any baseball knowledge left his brain. And that's just talking about Odubel Herrera from a baseball perspective. I'll cross my fingers for Mickey Moniak. I don't think the Phillies are just going to give up on Adam Hazley. He was a 270 hitter last year for them. They're going to give him an opportunity more so than just the first 10 games of the season. But overall, man, for as bad as the Phillies bullpen has been historically, the problem right now is not even them. The problem right now is what's going on in center field and really the entire outfield. Bryce Harper's got to hit better. He had a nice diving catch yesterday, but from the plate, he's really got to start earning that $330 million deal by baseball standards at least. Andrew McCutchen has had his struggles as well. Your whole outfield tends to trouble you right now with the Phillies. And the bullpen has been great for the most part. The outfield has been awful. And then you look around the horn, and Alec Boehm has been a saving grace, no doubt. Rhys Hoskins has played well this season. Had a tough play yesterday at first base. Didn't necessarily stretch off the bag as you would want a first baseman to. But there were just different plays throughout the game yesterday. There just were face-palming moments where you're just thinking to yourself, the Phillies they're going to put something together here. They're going to get something done. And I can't believe they wasted an outing. Like, how many outings from Chase Anderson do you think you're going to get where he's going to allow 3 runs, 2 of them earned? Like, how many outings do you think you're going to get from your 5th starter in the rotation? I'll answer that for you. It ain't going to be a lot. Yesterday might have been the only one, and for them not to win it was putrid. And to get the opportunities they got in that game and not have guys step up to try to come through for you. JT Realmuto had a big strikeout in game 1. You had some other guys coming up. You had Didi Gregorius extend his hitting streak, which was great. But you had other opportunities in this game. Bryce Harper coming to the plate with runners in scoring position, not being able to deliver. It's like you're going to have to rely on the long ball in this lineup. And I just don't think the Phillies will be that good consistently at that long ball for you to be able to do that. Like you've been able to do that in years past, unfortunately. Many, many years past. Just a overall frustrating loss from the Phillies, both of them yesterday, losing both games of the twin billing, and you never like to see that. And let me just make this general statement about the 7-inning game. I don't mind the runner on second because the way baseball is played now is not like – I like the game when I was growing up a lot more than I like it now. But with the way baseball has gone, with the amount of pitching changes, with always worried to get guys' pitch counts up too high and ruining your bullpen with a long extra inning game, I actually don't mind the guy on second base. And the fact that obviously you're getting both turns here, it's not like football where if you score a touchdown on your first possession of overtime, it's over, which is one of the dumbest rules in sports. But both teams get an opportunity with somebody on second base to end the game, which is fine. I don't have an issue with that. 7 innings in a doubleheader just feels dumb. It feels really, really dumb. And I saw the great Jim Gardner last night of Action News tweet out last night that he felt like he was watching Little League with a 7-inning game. I thought I was watching Little League with the center field play of the Phillies, just for the record. But it does kind of feel like a rinky-dink thing when you only play 7 innings of a baseball game. Overall, I hate that. I absolutely despise that. And I know he just said I'm all for ending a game sooner. Not cutting the amount of innings that a game's supposed to be played. Ridiculous. So I know a lot of people are sharing my frustration in the Phillies. Hopefully they bounce back today. Zach Wheeler's on the hill for the Phils, blah, 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 and they can salvage a game, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what they do at this point, other than they're going to ride Hazley for a while until they feel like their other guys are ready. That includes Odubel Herrera. That includes Scott Kingery. And that also includes Mickey Moniak, who, let's not forget, and I hate going to this because we were ridiculing spring training numbers during spring training, but who did have a nice spring. So let's hope that somebody in this organization could be a center fielder, because I don't see one legit candidate coming up here going, I got you guys. I'll save this. It's mind-numbing to me. So hopefully the Phillies bounce back today, and we'll see how all that goes. Blah, blah, blah. Yesterday, we dissected a lot when it came to the Philadelphia Eagles. We talked about the in-depth piece on The Athletic. We talked about some pieces that have come out over the last couple of years revolving around just football operations in general. And we would all love to talk about the good stuff. We'd all love to talk about a winning football team. We'd all love to talk about how they're a perennial contender and all that. That hasn't been the story. Since they won the Super Bowl, the story has been who's left since the Super Bowl. Nick Foles, now Carson Wentz, now Doug Peterson, Frank Reich his name has been brought up enough, even going back to a former offensive coordinator in Mike Groh, talking about a guy like Carson Walsh, who was the wide receivers coach. So many of these stories have come out surrounding really the drama and not the football. Here's what I don't like. And I was thinking about this more yesterday after our conversation with Zach Berman. I'm going to let you hear a little bit of that again in a second. But what I got out of all this was the goings-on behind the scenes with the Philadelphia Eagles has trumped every other issue on the field and has led into every other issue on the field. Instead of just relying on players to make up for a lot of other people's mistakes. Like, you don't think the Green Bay Packers have mistakes in their organization? You don't think they have issues in their organization? Aaron Rodgers obviously getting up there in age. Aaron Rodgers now has a part-time job as a Jeopardy host. But he still comes to play every single day and masks a lot of the mistakes. Couldn't mask kicking that field goal against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the playoffs, but still got them to a point of competing to almost get to a Super Bowl again with Aaron Rodgers, which would have been nice for them. Other franchises have mistakes behind the scenes. Other franchises have guys that don't necessarily get along in the front office, but somehow magically other franchises still manage to compete and still manage to have players on the football field that will mask what's going on behind the scenes. Like, in all honesty, to follow the Eagles and really how they have deteriorated in talent and achievement over the last 3 seasons, it's a direct reflection of how this organization is run. You look at the record of this team since the Super Bowl, and it'd be like, man, this organization's in turmoil. The record exactly reflects what's been going on behind the scenes here. A couple of 9-7 seasons, a 4-win season, a tie obviously thrown into the mix there. That's pitiful. Why does that continue to happen? Well, because it seems like you have no communication in the higher echelon, in the upper echelon of how this team and who runs this team. You have no communication there. And when we talked to Zach Berman yesterday, I asked him the question, after 2 months studying this team, after 2 months of studying the Philadelphia Eagles and how they're run, how they're operated, what jumped out to you? What did you learn from the 2 months of examining this franchise and how they're run with Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman? And this was the answer yesterday that Zach Berman gave me.
I would say that a team that publicly touts collaboration whenever they can really is deficient in that area. Like, I think that is a major weakness of theirs that must be improved, and it runs counter to so much they say publicly. If you read their public comments over the past 5 years, they use collaboration as a buzzword so frequently, and it's something that they really must improve upon.
It's not a group effort, unfortunately. It's not. It's a couple of guys having a conversation. And that happens in every organization. One of the things I try to keep in mind here is that all this stuff doesn't happen just here. It happens elsewhere. But other teams have a way of masking those issues a lot better. And usually that happens because they have talent on the field that will override any kind of BS drama that's happening away from the football field. Like the fact that we know all these stories that have come out about the Philadelphia Eagles over the last 3 years, it's embarrassing. You have to look yourself in the mirror at this point. And I also saw Louis Riddick, ESPN, also come out to Action News and say that he was talking to Deuces Rogers, saying the same things you heard from Zach Berman right there. But Louis Riddick has worked in front office. He worked in the Eagles front office. You can't continuously have these types of distractions. You can't continuously have these reports come out criticizing the way you guys run your organization if you're the Eagles and go, oh, no, everything's fine. Everything we're doing, totally fine. Is firing Doug Peterson going to be the end-all, be-all, cure-all to all that? Is not having Carson Wentz here going to be the end-all, be-all, cure-all to that? I doubt it, because you still have the two constants. You still have Jeffrey Lurie. You still have Howie Roseman. We know Jeffrey Lurie is not going anywhere. And right now, to this point, it certainly seems like Howie Roseman isn't going anywhere either. But all the drama that has followed that Super Bowl is ridiculous. In every sense of the word, ridiculous. Going from Carson Wentz and how he is as a teammate to going to how Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie baby Doug Peterson. Man, I made the point yesterday that if I would have stood there at the art museum with you guys and said, hey, this guy, that guy, and that guy, they're going to be gone, right? Like disappear where they're not here. You're crazy, right? Like, I don't know anyone that would have believed you that after that great moment, this was going to blow up in our faces, and that every single year, their skills, their talent, the way the organization was run was just going to be dissipated, basically. Just going to be dwindled down to have to hit the reset button with a new head coach, but the same GM and obviously the same owner. I just feel like we're in trouble here in Philly. The one thing I will say that's optimistic here from Zach Berman's conversation yesterday was that he doesn't feel like we're doomed. He still feels like this is salvageable. Hopefully they get players in here. I don't really trust it, but hopefully they have players in here that actually do what some other teams do, which is just mask whatever the hell is goings on behind the scenes. And hopefully the Eagles can do that same thing. And that's what we'll be crossing our fingers for. And hopefully that starts now in about 2 weeks away from the NFL draft. Hopefully the good vibes get going in not too long. Tonight, I'd like to say tonight is the biggest game of the year for the 76ers, and they play the Brooklyn Nets. So that should be fun. However, the Brooklyn Nets, after pushing their game back, they played yesterday. Kevin Durant played very well. I believe he had 27 points or 31 points in 27 minutes. So he's good at basketball. We know. James Harden not playing. Who knows with Kyrie Irving? Who knows who's going to play in a back-to-back for the Brooklyn Nets? I would hope they get their stars out there in terms of the ones that can play, hopefully, whether that be Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. No James Harden with the hamstring issue. So you're just crossing your fingers that at least it's a game tonight. I will take a victory for the Sixers if they don't have any stars playing for them for the Brooklyn Nets. I'd rather have them, and then they go up, I believe it would be they go up a game in the Eastern Conference standings. But I'd rather have that measuring stick game to see what the 76ers are for the remainder of the season. We had this date circled on the calendar for quite some time. We talked to Keith Pompey from The Inquirer about a month ago, talking about circling this date on the calendar, the 14th against the Brooklyn Nets as the end-all, be-all measuring stick game before the playoffs. Yes, they got a couple of games coming up against the Milwaukee Bucks, both in Milwaukee, actually 2 games in a row in Milwaukee. But this game against the Nets was going to wrap it up. They just wrapped up their series with the Celtics, taking the sweeping the Celtics, which was great. I would like to see them be able to take this series at least 2-1 against the Brooklyn Nets. That opportunity should come tonight. It will come tonight. But it's not the same if you don't have the stars playing. And I was really looking forward to seeing Ben Simmons play with that chip on his shoulder. I was looking forward to seeing Joel Embiid play with that chip on his shoulder. As the day goes on today, we will find out just how much star power the Brooklyn Nets will have going up against the Sixers. And what I noticed in their last matchup, and a lot of this came down to the trade rumors with Ben Simmons and James Harden, is that Ben Simmons played with that chip on his shoulder going up against the Nets. He knew that his name had been mentioned, and the franchise even brought it up, saying you're not going anywhere. But even if they tell you you're not going anywhere, that means somebody's talking about you going somewhere. So Ben comes out in that game against the James Harden and the Nets, played with just such aggression, played that game like he was really pissed off, and that's the best version of Ben Simmons. And Joel Embiid obviously came out and played at that same level because he just wants to prove that he's the best, he's the MVP, he can go up against a team like the Nets and dominate, and then he can also go out there with a lot of confidence and solidify his standing as the best player in the game right now, the MVP. Without the star power from the Nets, I don't think you get that out of the Sixers. And look, if that's the case, the bottom line is you just get the win. You go up a game on the Brooklyn Nets in the standings, and then hopefully you're able to roll for the rest of the season as you won't be facing them until, let's cross our fingers, the Eastern Conference Finals. But tonight, still be looking forward to it. Hopefully, no matter what happens, no matter who plays, Sixers get the victory going up against the Nets tonight. But this was interesting. It's an ESPN game tonight. Sixers have a lot of ESPN games over the next week. Ben Simmons, of course, doing that, sat down with Rachel Nichols of ESPN for The Jump. And he was asked about not MVP standings, not a jump shot, but he was asked about Defensive Player of the Year. And I thought it was interesting. So Rachel Nichols asked him, well, first off, she sets it up by saying, hey, your head coach, Doc Rivers, says you're Defensive Player of the Year. He says Joel Embiid is the MVP. Ben Simmons is Defensive Player of the Year because he guards everybody. So Rachel Nichols asks Ben Simmons if he himself thinks he is the Defensive Player of the Year in the NBA this year. Take a listen.
Definitely. 100%. I'm one of those guys who can guard 1 through 5. Obviously, there's a lot of respect for Rudy. I know what he's capable of. I know, he's great down there in the paint, but he's not guarding everybody. And that's just what it is. I mean, he guarded me in Utah.
And?
I had 42. And apparently I'm not a scorer, so it is what it is. But I have a lot of respect for him. At the same time, I think it's mine this year.
Apparently I'm not a scorer, so that was the one thing I didn't like about that. But okay, Ben Simmons scores 42 on Rudy Gobert. That's great. All right. The thing that it is interesting about Ben Simmons is such a private guy, and we don't really see him too much out and about. And who do we nowadays? But even pre-pandemic, who do we really see out and about, right? So when it comes to Ben, the little subtle things that get said, and it's funny that this got brought up yesterday because we had Jack McCaffrey on the show on Monday. And Jack McCaffrey is the guy, as we pointed out on Monday's show. Jack McCaffrey is the guy that asked Ben Simmons about developing that jump shot. And Ben's like, well, I'm an all-star, so as if to imply, why do I do the jump shot if I'm already an all-star? Which is the worst mentality you could possibly have. So he hears that conversation. He was asked that question. Well, earlier in the interview, and Ben has said this before, he actually said it, it might have been after that Denver Nuggets game, as a matter of fact, or excuse me, Utah Jazz game, where he came out and said, while he was in quarantine around the All-Star break, he was on social media following what people were saying about him, and he tries to tune it out, but he can't help himself. He just keeps on scrolling. Stop scrolling, Ben. I think you don't need us to break it down for you that you need to expand your offensive game. Defensive game, no complaints, right? You want a Defensive Player of the Year award? I hope you get it, right? Just like I hope Joel Embiid gets an MVP. I hope you get Defensive Player of the Year. I hope Doc Rivers gets Coach of the Year. All right? Anybody around Ben Simmons from a basketball perspective, a coach, Sam Cassell, Doc Rivers, anybody from the Sixers organization, they should let Ben know that this is something he should work on, that he should just develop that one little aspect. I don't think he needs us to tell him that. I hope he doesn't need us to tell him that. But if that's affecting his psyche and it's becoming a distraction, hey, man, stop scrolling. Deactivate the account. Get away from Twitter for a minute. Get away from social media for a second. And when you hear him say that little subtle side comment there about, well, I'm not a scorer, so. No, you're a scorer. You could definitely score. We know when you're aggressive, you can score. 42 points against the Defensive Player of the Year. Yeah, I think we know you can score. That's not the question. The question is how you score. The question is how you stretch the floor, how you're able to help out your teammates by getting that spacing, getting guys to collapse on you, getting guys to actually come up and guard you to shoot that jump shot. That's it. That's my complaint on Ben Simmons. Everything else, everything else is great. Everything else is phenomenal. But when it comes to just that idea of how he scores, that's what bothers me the most. So we'll see how it plays out tonight against the Brooklyn Nets. Sixers, I think last I checked, they were minus 5.5 going up against the Nets. So we'll see who ends up playing tonight for the Nets. Hopefully it's as full a roster as it can be minus James Harden, and we'll follow that story. Coming up, we're going to talk. We haven't even mentioned the Flyers yet because, God, what was that? And also, I want to save that conversation for our friend Jordan Hall of NBC Sports Philadelphia, who's going to break down whatever it was that happened yesterday with the Flyers. A 6-1 loss to the Capitals. First game after the trade deadline. My head's still spinning. Between following the Phillies, dropping both games of the doubleheader, and then also going and watching the Flyers, I don't know what that team is even trying to do on the ice. There's so many opportunities to try to turn their season around, and they've grasped no momentum. You had the Sam Moran gets back on defense, scores a goal, wins you a game, gets in a fight, plays with a lot of energy. You got Sam Moran with that kind of jolt and nothing. You got Travis Konechny coming back, playing well. Nothing for the rest of the team. Shane Gostisbehere plays on waivers, come back, scores a couple goals. Nothing. There have been different situations for the Flyers this year that have been like those rub the paddles together, clear, boom, like that type of moment to get things going again. And nothing has led to, this is the win streak that we needed. And before last night's game, Alain Vigneault comes out and says that this team, he still feels like this is a playoff team. And then of all days, they come out the flattest they have come out in quite some time. And that's saying something. But they came out the flattest they have come out in weeks, months. And that was after their head coach said, 4 points out of a playoff spot. Yeah, I feel like we're a playoff team. And that was not a playoff team that we saw yesterday. We'll break it down even further with Jordan Hall coming up in just a second. But right now, I do want to tell you about my good friend Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. And here at the Steven Singer Studios, we like to send everybody to Steven Singer Jewelers. Mother's Day is just around the corner, of course, and Steven's got your back. His famous real roses, dipped and trimmed in 24-karat gold. Guess what? They now come in a sunshine yellow. It's a brand new color. The new rose is a brilliant shade of yellow with dazzles and sparkles all over it. Steven always likes to say he's in the love business, and this past year, we know how important love is. In addition to brightening your loved one's day, Steven wants to put a little sunshine in everyone's days. So he's continuing to use a portion of each rose sold to support local restaurants by catering meals for all incredible nurses, doctors, first responders, and hospital heroes. Go now to IHateStevenSinger.com. That's IHateStevenSinger.com and send a sunshine gold dip rose this Mother's Day. It's a win-win-win. You'll give sunshine that lasts a lifetime to a loved one. You'll be supporting local restaurants and thanking essential workers in the process. You'll also feel good doing it. So how about that? You can go to IHateStevenSinger.com right now to order those roses for Mother's Day. Thanking essential workers is fantastic. Also, helping our local restaurants. You can't go wrong. They all come with a lifetime guarantee, free personalized gift message, fast and free shipping as well. Simply say, I love you, and honor Mom on Mother's Day. Go to IHateStevenSinger.com. The other corner of 8th and Walnut. One place, one price, every time. Steven Singer Jewelers. Without further ado, before we get that, I will tell you when we come back, we got an amazing, a fun-filled morning rush for you. Tell you that much. We also have our social media check-in brought to you by Steak and Maine. Morning rush brought to you by Sky Motor Cars. And then we'll also get to our big bets segment brought to you by DraftKings. Last night I did something in the betting world that I'd never done before. win? No, I'd won before. Thank you. But it's something I'd never done before. I actually bet on a prop that I've never bet on before. We'll get to that in just a second. But first, let's figure out what the hell happened with those Philadelphia Flyers. Here's Jordan Hall from NBC Sports Philadelphia. Right now, the Zatos Investments guest line. I know we covered a lot to this point, but let's talk to one man, and this is the only man I can talk to right now. His name is Jordan Hall, covers the Flyers for NBC Sports Philadelphia. If you're not following Jordan Hall on social media, you're not a Flyers fan. There, I said it. Jordan, welcome into the show. You also do Flyers Talk podcast with some old friends of mine, Taryn Hatcher and Joe Fordyce as well. Welcome in, my friend.
Mark, thanks so much for having me. It's great seeing you.
It's great seeing you as well. Seriously, Jordan and I palled around in my days at NBC, so it's good to have this conversation with you. And Jordan, I'm not kidding you. When I saw the score get to 5-1 in favor of the Capitals, I was like, I'll just ignore hockey. I'll just ignore hockey tomorrow. I won't even talk about it. I don't need to talk about it. Got a doubleheader with the Phillies, got a Sixers-Nets game, got Eagles in turmoil. And I'm like, no, there's one person that I have to talk to. And it's the only person whose face I won't want to rip apart. Not because I'm mad at you, but because I'm mad at the Flyers. And you're that one face. You're that one face that can talk to me about the Flyers and talk me off the ledge that I'm on right now. Jordan, first off, I hope you take that as a compliment.
It's absolutely a compliment. If I could see you right now, I'll be hugging you, Mark. Hugging.
But, Jordan, I just want to ask this question. Why do the Flyers hate us?
That's a great question. Mark, seriously, that was like a confounding performance. I'm expecting them to come out of the deadline knowing that they've underachieved, they lost teammates because of it, and to just play with like at least energy. I know they're playing the Capitals, who are in first place, very good team. They're going to be contending for the Stanley Cup, but at least have the energy to fight, and they had the opposite of that. And I'm a guy that hasn't really questioned their effort over the last 2 seasons. I think it's a pretty good group of guys that I think are genuine and they care. But this was the one night where I was left seriously questioning their effort. It just didn't look like they had any life in the first period. They go down 4-1. And it was just disappointing to see. Disappointing. And I don't blame any fans one bit for being as frustrated as hell and turning the channel. I really don't. It was that bad and frustrating.
Mm-hmm. Jordan, I have to ask this. And you asked a great question that I want to get to in a second here. But here's what I saw. And you pointed out the attitude that the Flyers were supposed to have after a trade deadline. Oh, look, our teammates, some of our teammates are gone. We better pick it up. Instead, it looked like the entire team took a breath of fresh air, going, a sigh of relief, if you will. I'm still here. I can relax. And then they get their doors blown off. That's what it looked like to me following this game tonight.
No, that's what and I thought as well, just not only is it a sigh of relief that, okay, like we're still here. Our team's mostly intact. We lost a few guys, but we kept Scott Lawton, and we're still in it. We're 4 points out of a playoff spot. I thought pressure would have been off a little bit of like, okay, no one's expecting anything of us. We didn't get additions at the trade deadline. Everyone else ahead of us in the division was in buy mode. They're gearing up for the Cup, and they're the one team that didn't do anything. Like, you think pressure's off now. It's just, hey, go out, play the string, see what happens, and go from there. But it was just, I was just so confused by the effort to start this game. I just really thought they were going to come out with energy. Like, the one guy that they traded to, they obviously traded 2 guys, Eric Gustafsson being one, Michael Raffel being the other. That's a guy that's been a Flyer since 2013. He's beloved in the locker room. He's played more games than Eric Lindros, Dave Poulin, Paul Holmgren. A very well-liked guy, and he went to the team that they played tonight. I just really thought they would have been at least ticked off or something, give us something, and they had the opposite of that. They just looked lifeless. Alain Vigneault said it was their 6th game in 9 days, so maybe they're just really tired. I don't know, but I just expected energy, and you really can say every team is in the same boat this season. So I've been one to defend them of, yes, it is a crazy year. They went through a COVID shutdown. They had 6 guys test positive, 14-day quarantines for those guys, but everyone really is in the same boat, and there's just really no excuse for at least tonight's start. Tuesday night's game. There was really no excuse for that.
Well, I'll say this. Before the game, Alain Vigneault came out and said that this was going to be a playoff team. I have confidence it's going to be a playoff team. And then they give that kind of effort. And here's what makes it so astounding. Alain Vigneault has defended the Flyers' effort when a lot of times it would be easy criticism. It'd be low-hanging fruit. Oh, they lost the first period, 2-0 basically. And people would say, oh, well, they didn't come out swinging. Well, the energy would be up, but the production wasn't there, and Alain Vigneault would defend his team. This time around, he really didn't have the defense. When you asked him, he said he wasn't a mind reader, more or less. You got to ask the guys in the locker room. And, Jordan, I got to say, your assessment, it seems pretty dead on accurate when it comes to not being able to light a fire under this team.
No, and like they're not even answering, like you said, Mark, they're not even answering the challenges from their head coach and the boss, the general manager. Chuck Fletcher spoke after the deadline on Monday and obviously challenged the team because he admitted that it's not the coaching staff. He said, I have no plans on changing the coaching staff after this season. So he's saying the makeup of our team is not right because of obviously general manager Chuck Fletcher admitted that he's at fault and he did not construct the team the right way going into this season. But he's essentially saying our problems are on the players. We're not getting the effort and the production from the players on the roster. He's saying it's not coaching. And so that's a challenge right there. And then Alain Vigneault comes out today, hours before the game, and says, I believe we're a playoff team. I think we can show it down the stretch. We didn't deserve to get additions at the deadline, but I believe in this group. He's had their back all season. All season, he said, I believe in this group. He didn't say anything about, I think we need help. And then they come out and play like that. It's just, yeah, you're just wondering what's left to say. What's left to say? What's left to do? They can't do anything right now. The deadline is come and gone. So they need to play these final 14 games, show something, and then Chuck Fletcher has his work cut out for him in this offseason, no doubt.
Definitely. Speaking with Jordan Hall, NBC Sports Philadelphia, Flyers Talk podcast as well. Make sure you give him a listen and read his stuff as well. Jordan, so let's get to this part. And I saw you put this in a tweet. I'm not sure if it was in your article or not, but I saw that you said that the last 14 games of the season, if the coach basically isn't going to get things going, if the players aren't going to get things going, I saw the word intensify the evaluation for next season. Were those your words or was that a quote?
That was not a quote. That was my word. I just think at this point, if you're not getting the effort from the guys that are out there on the ice and you can't make any more changes, the trade deadline is in the past. You can't really change anything other than now in-house. At this point, if guys are either tired or they're not giving you the effort, it's got to be one of the two. Then play other people, play kids, call them up from Lehigh. You have Lehigh's in a bit of a COVID situation where they had games over the weekend postponed. Obviously, the year in minor league hockey has been weird to begin with. Not a lot of games. So you have kids down there itching to play hockey, and kids that deserve opportunity. So to me, at this point, bring them up, see what they can do, evaluate as much as you can. And the funny thing is the Flyers, again, are not mathematically out of the playoff race. So the games do matter. They're not like they're mathematically eliminated and you're just having kids come up to play games. These games do mean something. So see what they can do in this environment. See what they can do against the Capitals, the Bruins, these big names, these teams that think they can win a Stanley Cup. I think it's a beautiful time to evaluate and really gear up for next season.
I think it was 2 weeks ago, Jordan, that we saw Sam Morin come up and get the opportunity to play defense again. And we thought for just a second, we thought Sam Morin might be that guy that was going to change the course of the Flyers season. And that unfortunately wasn't the case. But overall, how would you evaluate Sam Morin in his time back here with the Flyers?
He's looked good on defense, and I'm glad he's got the opportunity. It just shows you how up and down they've been on the back end. That Samuel Morin was even switched to left winger because they thought their depth was so good at the defense position. And now here he is. He's back on defense down the stretch. It just shows you how crazy they've been on the back end and how they haven't had the right mix. They have not. But he's been good. He's a real simple player that uses his physicality, his reach, his size to kill plays in the defensive zone. Take the body of the player and make sure they're eliminating chances because they're giving up far too many goals this season. Second most goals in hockey this year per game. It's astounding. And Samuel Morin is a guy that can help goal prevention with his size and his strength. So kudos to him for getting his way back into the defensive picture. And I think he's been fine. He's not going to play a ton of minutes. He's going to fight, obviously. But I think he's he's giving the management a good look right now, and he's going to continue to play because they wanted to get the best read on him possible going into next season.
I think you and I are on the same page as far as the rest of the season goes, though. And again, it goes back to your phrase of intensifying the evaluation for next year. I'm with you there. I think if the Flyers were going to really show you something, they would have shown it to you by now. And you look at all the games, 9-0 to the Rangers. Look at all the games that they've allowed 5 or more goals and all that, and the struggles of their netminders. I feel like it is time to kind of look forward to next season. But before we do that, when you look back on this year, with, like you said, 14 games left, when you look back on this year, what do you think the number one reason is the Flyers are in the position that they're in right now? Is it goaltending? Is it defense? Is it effort, coaching? Why is this Flyers team in the position right now where they're on the outside looking into the postseason?
It's an excellent question, Mark. I think the biggest thing was they lost Matt Niskanen. They lost a top pair defenseman, and they just didn't replace him. And I know a lot of people are saying, well, you can't – like Matt Niskanen's not he's not a hero. Like, right. But he was that good. And, you know, people label defensemen. They label players like first line center, number one defenseman, top pair guy, because those roles are valuable. And when you take a guy out like that, a top pair defenseman, and you don't replace him, period, things can fall apart. And I think Matt Niskanen was that good. He played in all situations. He had experience. He had a championship pedigree. People looked up to him. And when you take a guy out like that and you don't replace him, you replace him by committee, things kind of fall apart. And then not only that, problems compounded just with you didn't get goaltending and you didn't replace the top pair guy. And I think it's just created an ugly scene. A lot of goals, just so many. That tonight on Tuesday night, it was their 5th 6-1 loss. They've lost 6-1 5 times. They're just giving up too many goals. But long story short, if I can put it in as simple as possible, they lost Matt Niskanen and they didn't replace him.
Mm-hmm. So going into the offseason, do you think there's any glaring move that the Flyers will make, whether that's a Jake Voracek trade, a James Van Riemsdyk trade, anything that you foresee the Flyers doing that Flyers fans can look forward to in the offseason?
No, I think they do have something bigger planned because I wasn't always of that belief, but I think they're just so glaringly short in other areas that they're going to need to use their assets and probably make a really tough decision. Mm-hmm. And they do have depth at forward, so maybe they do trade off a name, use that player's value as best as they can, and try to fill holes. And one hole is on the back end. And in a flat cap era, it's tough to go out in the free agent market and just do it that way. Flyers don't have the cap space to really do that. So what do? You got to do it via trade. And they do have assets. And I don't think they want to part ways with some younger guys as much. So what you got to do? Make a tough decision with maybe a veteran player that's got pedigree that can still play and can help, but you got to fill all their holes. And I do think Chuck Fletcher is going to have to make some trades in the offseason. People forget his first offseason with the team, he made 4 trades in June that really made them better before July 1 even hit. He got Tyler Pitlick, Justin Braun, Matt Niskanen, Kevin Hayes, all via trade. So he can pull things off like that. I think this will be one of his biggest trades yet, but he's going to have to do that to make the team better.
You think we'll see Cam York before the season's out?
I do, Mark. I do. It's been unfortunate with Lehigh Valley. They've been obviously in that COVID situation.
Right.
He probably would have played over the weekend. So he didn't get a chance to play yet. They're going to want him to get some games in Lehigh, but I think they're going to be completely out of it by the end of the season, that they're going to say, hey, Cam, get a couple NHL games, see how it feels, and be ready to push for a roster spot. So I do think we'll see Cam York.
All right, I look forward to seeing that and, having some people hopefully replenish the Flyers with the farm system here from the farm system. I understand the Hall family is replenishing the farm system. A new addition, Jackson, is it, your nephew?
Yes, Jackson Thomas, my nephew. My sister had a baby a month ago, March 11th. So he's a month old, doing well, healthy. Sister's doing well. Her husband, Steve, is doing well. So
beautiful.
Yes, everyone's doing well. And I hear, Mark, you were doing well, and your baby and your wife doing well. So so great to hear, and glad everyone's all smiles.
Thank you. I'm sure Jackson will be skating backwards before my daughter Emanuela, but sooner or later we'll have him down the rink and we'll see who wins.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have to line that up. I can't wait for that, Mark.
Definitely. Jordan Hall, you're the man, brother. Thanks for coming on the show. Check out his stuff, NBCSportsPhiladelphia.com. Obviously, the My Teams app, the Flyers Talk podcast with Joe Fordyce, as well as the awesome Taryn Hatcher. Jordan, say hi to everybody for me. Great to catch up with you, brother. Thanks so much.
Marc, thank you so much. Great seeing you.
Jordan Hall, NBC Sports Philadelphia, joining us here on the Zatos Investments guest line. Just the man I needed to talk to, Jordan Hall, and that'll wrap up our Flyers conversation for today. So thanks again to Jordan Hall. Do want to get to our friends at DraftKings. We got our big bet segment coming up. As I mentioned, I had never done this before, and I did it last night. Talk to you about that in just a second. I also got a bet for you that I like tonight. Also, just want to remind people, you can check out our friends over at Philadelphia Sports Nation, a local Philadelphia sports site covering your favorite teams across blogs and social media. PHLSportsNation.com. Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience. And how about DraftKings? Basketball teams right now trying to lock up their playoff seeding for this year's postseason run for the Larry O'Brien Trophy. Some are locks, some still trying to get in. Sixers, they're a lock. But DraftKings Sportsbook wants to help you get in on all the action and help you turn $1 into $100 in free bets with America's top-rated sportsbook app. How about this? Pick any basketball team, and if your team hits a 3, you bring home $100 in free bets. That's 100-1 odds for any team if you're choosing to just hit a 3. They don't even need to win the game. This year, teams have been hitting threes at an unprecedented rate, so make sure you're getting in on this action with DraftKings Sportsbook. Safe, secure, and reliable, so you can deposit and withdraw your funds at your convenience. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code Farzy. That's promo code Farzy when you sign up to turn $1 into $100 in free bets if the basketball team, if you're choosing, hits a 3. That's promo code Farzy to turn $1 into $100 in free bets. Limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. In partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. How about Steak and Maine in the heart of Northeast Maryland? One of my favorite spots. If you haven't been there, treat yourself, ladies and gentlemen. Steak and Maine. Fine dining in the heart of Northeast Maryland. Whether you dine in a more upscale steakhouse, a casual bar and patio, you'll be enjoying the highest quality prime meats, fresh seafood, world-class oyster bar, and freshly prepared sushi. All that. And you can also enjoy the extensive wine list that they have to offer, including their own Cavada Cellars wines. My man, Tony Cavada, from his family, to your table at Steak and Maine. Open every day for lunch, dinner, and Sunday brunch. Steak and Maine in the heart of Northeast Maryland, voted #1 place for steaks in America by the Cooking Channel and the Travel Channel. Check it out for yourself at steakandmaine.com for more information. Also, our people that bring us our morning rush appropriately, Sky Motorcars, skymotorcars.com. Big thank you to them. Also, just a great sponsor of ours, Sky Motorcars, the premier luxury car dealership in the greater Philadelphia area that promises to provide honest and efficient service, whether you're buying, selling, or trading in your car. Sky, they work with a lot of our athletes in Philadelphia. But, you know, they got something for everybody's budget. Not just for luxury vehicles. Sky's inventory has a car for every budget. Go to skymotorcars.com to learn more. And when you buy or sell your next vehicle, make sure you think of Sky and tell them Marc Farzetta sent you. Let's get into our social media check-in, brought to you by the good people of Steak and Maine and steakandmaine.com. Social media check-in. We'll get to the YouTube comments in just a second, but we did throw out a question as a part of a Twitter poll today for everyone to weigh in on. And this is interesting. It has to do with really stupid rules in sports. And is it the NFL overtime rules, 7-inning rules in baseball for doubleheaders, shootouts in hockey, or other? NFL OT rules are the dumbest thing out there, and that's winning our poll right now at 38% of the vote. After that, it's shootout in hockey. I think we solved this problem. Riley Cote and I talked about it last week. I don't have a problem with the shootout. Put it this way. I don't have as much a problem with the shootout as I do overtime only being 5 minutes in hockey. Make it 10 minutes. Somebody's going to score, and then you won't have to deal with the shootout anyway. Here's where it goes for me in terms of things that suck about end of regulation in hockey. All right, over the last, forever. A tie, that's the thing that sucks the most. A 5-minute overtime, that's the thing that sucks the second most. And then third, the shootout. I know most people have the shootout up here at number 1. That's not your enemy. The enemy is having only a 5-minute overtime period in hockey. Make it 10 minutes, and that way you won't have to deal with a shootout anyway. But I hate a tie. I don't go to a game to, they tied. All right, everyone go home. No, I go to see somebody win a game, right? And I know it's a skills competition, but I'd rather somebody get away. Also, getting a point just for making it through the regulation, that's dumb too. Everybody gets a trophy. Like, survive the 10-minute overtime, and then we'll talk about giving you a point for probably losing anyway. Anyway, that's my little riff on that. The overtime rules are dumb. The walk-off touchdown, and the other team doesn't even get a possession, that's dumb too. Both teams should get a possession and an opportunity to score a touchdown. If the one team scores a touchdown and the other can't, game over. There you go. What's so hard about that? But the dumbest rule in all of sports, somebody wrote this in. I want to make sure I give this person a shout out because this is the dumbest rule in all of sports. Steve Silver hit us up here. Fumbling out of the end zone being a touchback for the defense. So if you're Miles Sanders and you're running towards the end zone and before you get in there, you fumble the ball through it. What? I lose possession on that? Shouldn't it just be down where the ball was lost? Don't you do enough of that in football anyway? Dumbest rule. That is the dumbest rule in all of sports. But anyway, thanks for the people that voted on that Twitter poll. You continue to do that throughout the day. Let's check in with our friends on YouTube and all their fine comments. JD Harrison checking in. You're damn right you heard a Gary Dornhofer reference earlier in the program. Stop it right there. Every single time growing up watching the Flyers, Gary Dornhofer while watching a replay. Now stop it right there. Here's where Eric Desjardins lost control of the puck going over the blue line. Whatever. You know what I mean. So do we have a center fielder? Mac is asking that question. No, we do not. Odubel Herrera also sucks. What is it? Who did we talk about? Who was it? Was it Nick Foles that got better as Carson Wentz got more terrible? I just like that when you watch other players suck, you forget the player that also sucked also sucks. And I think Odubel Herrera sucks. I think all their options right now are not good options. They're not legit options. Like, I wish you had a veteran center fielder that was even just signed to be a spot starter, if you will, as opposed to two guys that are trying to work it out in their MLB careers. Roman Quinn's trying to prove he can stay healthy and be a legit center fielder. Hasn't really worked out. Adam Hazley's 25 years old and an 8th overall pick. He's trying to figure it out at the major league level. He had 278 last year. That should give you some hope. But watching him play center field, not being able to track a fly ball, or a line drive hit right at him. Little concerning. Went back and forth with a bunch of people last night about Odubel Herrera. Oh, they do. It's Odubel Herrera. He's the legit guy. He's the legit guy. I know he's an all-star 5 years ago, but he's going to be the guy that's going to come in and save the day. I don't have any confidence in that. Here's the thing. Here's what I'll agree with. Is he better than Roman Quinn? Most likely. Adam Hazley, I'm still willing to give a younger guy a shot over Odubel Herrera at this point. Well, given what I've seen, that shot ain't going to last for a long time. I give him maybe 5-10 more games to try to figure it out in center field, do something to help the team win from the plate, maybe, before I start thinking about, all right, Roman Quinn, Adam Hazley, thanks, but no thanks. Mickey Moniak, Scott Kingery, Odubel Herrera, come on down. We'll see what you guys have to do. But again, going back to it, after last night's game, Joe Girardi coming out saying, if we felt like those guys were ready, they'd be up here at the major league level already. So there you go. What else do we have here? Center field follows the Flyers blueprint. Mally, what's up, Mally? Good morning, brother. Yeah, you're not far off. I got some numbers for you. I want to get to you in a second here when it comes to who's been playing center field for the Phillies and how they stack up against another position group. Yes, it will upset you and probably ruin your day. So there you go. Mac, we were so happy with them last week, meaning the Phillies. Yeah, not so much right now. If you ever want to know whether or not this is still a baseball town, and it's a football town first and foremost, but whether or not we give a damn about baseball, just watch the Phillies struggle and then see the outrage. It's all over the place. That's how you know we're still a baseball. I wish it was the other way around. I wish it was more of what we had over the first week of the season, with the Phillies being able to start out a year 6-0, or 4-0, and then 4-0, and then everything falls apart after that, and you see, but before you saw everyone how excited they were with the Phillies starting out their season as well as they did, back-to-back sweeps, 6-0, all that stuff, and then now it's gone. It's gone. It's all negative now. What else do we have here? Flyers stink. Thank you. What else do we have here? That was who else said that? Henry said that. Thank you. Taylor's checking in on the program, saying what's up. Mally's back at it. Big bets. Any team that plays the Flyers. That's good advice, actually. That's very good advice. And that's what we have on our social media check-in, brought to you by our friends at Steak and Maine and steakandmaine.com. Let's get to our Morning Rush. Morning Rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars and SkyMotorcars.com. Here are the numbers I was alluding to. Thank you, Scott Lauber, who covers the Phillies for Inquirer.com. Phillies center fielders so far this season are batting .091. Good God, y'all. Phillies pitchers so far this season, 118. 118. They're better than your center fielders from the plate. That's all you really need to know. My retort to Joe Girardi, and I know he's not the guy that's going to make the decision as to who to call up, but my retort to, if we thought those guys were ready, we'd have them at the major league level. Well, what makes you so sure the guys at the major league level are so prepared? 118 and misplaying balls in the outfield, misplaying balls in center field, thinking a ball was thrown into the outfield. Roman Quinn yesterday sliding in the third base. You think that guy's ready? No, both these guys look real jittery right now. Adam Hazley, you're a center fielder, man. You're supposed to be a center fielder at least. He had the really bad fly ball. I think it was against the Mets last week where he lost it in the sky in a night game. Lost it in the lights maybe. I don't know. And then last night, has a play that he could have had the second out of the inning, really helped out his starting pitcher in Aaron Nola, and instead they ended up having their big inning that inning when he couldn't make what looked like a routine play hit out. Anybody that could just judge that bat off the judge that ball off the bat makes that catch. For Hazley, the way he even misjudged it, charge in, man, sliding grab, make something happen. Unfortunately, he didn't do that, and I don't have a lot of confidence he's going to turn it around. Again, 25 years old, inexperienced, whatever. But, man, this is not a strong start for Adam Hazley. And I was the guy saying, I would love to see two young guys battle it out for that spot. And Roman Quinn, to me, is not young. He's just a guy that's had a lot of injuries. I'd love to see a guy like Mickey Moniak and Adam Hazley try to battle for that spot. I'd love to see Scott Kingery get another opportunity at that spot, but he's nowhere near ready. He definitely needed some time in the minors to get his swing back because that's been gone for a long time now. But I'd rather see that. I'd rather see the younger guys get an opportunity than using Roman Quinn, than using Odubel Herrera, who, again, to me, baseball IQ lowest I've seen since Ben Revere. I don't think that Odubel Herrera is coming up here to become some kind of savior for you in center field. I think Odubel Herrera is eventually going to come up here in the next couple of weeks and remind you of why he was out in so many Phillies fans' minds before anything happened off the field. So we'll continue to follow that, obviously. But a couple more fun things to get to here in the Morning Rush segment. The best thing going in Philadelphia sports, not named Joel Embiid right now, is Boban Marjanovic and Tobias Harris trying to sell you goldfish. If you haven't seen the outtakes yet, look no further.
I forgot my line. That was too early. I didn't even get my headphones.
4, 5, 7,
6.
75, 77, 258, 6. You know how to go with handful, with your heart?
Try to.
I don't know. It's hard to remember the numbers in other languages and remember this Bobby, English ain't first language. I just really enjoy watching those two have fun. And coming off the Mavericks game where you saw them before the game, playing around and stuff, like I just really enjoy those two. I had the opportunity to interview both of them at the same time at the Sixers Youth Gala a couple of years ago. And their fun is just contagious. And I think Boban talked about it the other day, just saying that they're nothing like each other, but they like each other. Like, I think that's just a cool thing. And those commercials are the best thing going in Philadelphia sports, not named Joel Embiid. So let's just enjoy that for a second. Something else, I mentioned this earlier in the show. Aaron Rodgers hosting Jeopardy is a gift. And Aaron Rodgers yesterday went viral yet again with hosting Jeopardy. ESPN put this together and clipped this and put this out on social media. Aaron Rodgers asking a Green Bay Packers question to the contestants pre-Aaron Rodgers. This is like in the 60s. Aaron Rodgers asking a Green Bay Packers question to the what do you call them? Contestants. The contestants on Jeopardy.
In the 1960s, these Midwesterners earned 5 NFL championship trophies. Green Bay Packers? Dennis, go
Try
again, I
title
guess.
for 600.
They swept over the NBA, winning the title every year from 1959 to 1966. Eric?
We're the Boston Celtics.
Oh, you know that one, huh? Okay.
I think he's doing a phenomenal job. And yesterday he also posted on Instagram some of the pictures or his notes on the podium at Jeopardy. And it's like stand up straight, speak slower, don't pick your nose /butt. That's literally what he wrote on his card that's on the Jeopardy podium. This is Aaron Rodgers' words, not mine. But it's cool to see him. Oh, have energy was another thing that he had up there at the podium. I think he's doing a great job. And you know what? That's a sweet gig, man. Enjoy that. Game show host? What are you kidding me? Every day you don't have to worry about anything in the news. You don't have to worry about anything going on anywhere else. That's your job. You run this game. Have at it. So Aaron Rodgers doing a bang-up job hosting Jeopardy. Let's get to our Big Bets segment tonight. Big Bets brought to you by DraftKings Morning Rush, obviously brought to you by Sky Motorcars at SkyMotorcars.com. Big Bet segment. Here's what I did last night that I never did before. I never bet on a player to get a hit. I never did that. And last night, it was probably stupid to do this, being that it was only going to be a 7-inning game and you'd probably lose an at-bat at least. But JT Realmuto I bet on to get a hit. And I won that bet. That was the only bet. That was the only bet I won last night. I told you I was going to take the Phillies -1.5 against the Mets in game number 2 with Nola on the hill. That was stupid. So I lost that bet. And then I also took the Portland Trailblazers. This is the bet I told you I was really going to take. This is a bet I really liked. This is the official bet of yesterday's show. Trailblazers to beat the Celtics. Blazers were -1 going into that game. And Jason Tatum decided to ice that game. A couple of turnovers late. Portland just didn't have what it took to win that game, unfortunately, so I lost that bet. But the one bet I did win last night was JT Realmuto getting a hit. So you know how much money I made on that? I'll tell you right now. I'll tell you how much money I made on that. I made $3. But hey, when I look on DraftKings and it says win, 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 loss, win, it'll say win one more time. So it's more of just my own mental health that they won that game. Or excuse me, that JT got a hit. So thanks for that. Last thing, big bets for tonight. The game I do like tonight. -6.5 Sixers and Nets tonight. -6.5 kind of lets you know that the Nets really aren't going to have a lot of firepower tonight. So the game I do like betting tonight, officially, Hornets -4 going up against the Cavs. That game is going to be in Charlotte. So I like the Hornets tonight, -4 going up against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching the show. Thanks for listening to the podcast. Make sure you download it wherever you get your podcast. Also, thanks for watching on YouTube, on Twitch, on all our social media platforms. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube as well. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Hopefully, we're talking about a Sixers victory over the Brooklyn Nets tomorrow morning. And also, hey, how about this? How about the Phillies win? That'll be fun, right? Yeah. All right. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for watching the show. Jim Hyden produced the program. This is a Buzz Sports and Entertainment production. Take it easy, everybody. Have a good one.